Void, Solar, and Arc 3.0 have all been the best additions to Destiny 2 in a long time. Fully customizable subclasses paired with different exotics allows for some really great builds, and today we're going to be taking a look at my personal favorite for each subclass on the Hunter. Now these builds aren't going to be super difficult or complex to build out or require too much work to make useful. Instead, these builds are going to be more suitable for almost any activity and focus on simple ad slaying potential or basic support, but they are still very strong. First, we're going to start off with my personal favorite, the Arc 3.0 Hunter, and this build will be a fast, melee-focused, high-damage output kind of build. And for the super, we're going to go with Gathering Storm, which is one of the best DPS supers in the game right now. And for the jump, I like to go with Blink. If you can get used to using Blink, it really helps your survivability quite a lot in most activities. It really allows you to escape sticky situations and just cover more ground a lot quicker. And the grenade is totally up to you, but I like using the pulse grenade personally. But let's get on to the more important parts of this build. For the dodge, we're going with Gambler's Dodge and pair that with Combination Blow for the melee. Combination Blow increases your melee damage stacking up to 3 times when you defeat enemies with a charged melee. And in order to always have your charged melee back up, it also refills your dodge ability energy, which will then refill your melee energy if you dodge near enemies. So you can be in this constant state of dodge melee over and over again for some massive ad clear potential. Combination Blow will even heal you on charged melee kills, helping you stay alive. And what makes this melee Combination Blow build that much stronger is using Liar's Handshake, which will increase the benefits of Combination Blow tenfold. Using your arc melee ability or being hit by a melee attack will allow you to follow up with an extremely powerful melee counterpunch that will heal you. So more damage and more healing. And with Liar's Handshake, you won't be only an ad killing machine, but even a major or champion killing machine. Clearing out some ads with your melee and getting Combination Blow up to ×3, then you stun a champion, then punch it maybe 4 times and it's dead. And if you want even more overkill for your damage on your melee, use a 1-2 punch shotgun, which will increase your melee damage after landing all pellets from your shotgun. It's absolutely wild how much damage potential you can do with this build, and in Master Lost sectors, dungeons, or even raids. I find this build works wonders just as much as it does in any activity. Even PvP, where you can pull off some pretty crazy melee kill streaks. For the aspects, I like to go with Flow State, which makes you amplified after defeating a jolted target, and while you're amplified, your dodge recharges more quickly. You're more resilient while dodging, and your reload speed is greatly increased. And Lethal Current. After dodging, your next melee attack has increased lunge range, jolts the target, and creates a damaging aftershock, as well as blinding jolted targets with melee attacks. Both of these aspects pair perfectly with the melee focused build we've got going on, especially Lethal Current. And for the fragments, we've got Spark of Feedback, plus 10 resilience right off the bat, and then taking melee damage briefly increases your outgoing melee damage, further buffing our already insanely powerful Liar's Handshake Combination Blow damage. Spark of Resistance, plus 10 strength, and while surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. Now this is great for us because we're constantly going into large groups of ads to melee them all to death, and anything that helps us survive while doing that is perfect. Spark of Frequency. Melee hits greatly increase your reload speed for a short duration. This is nice to use because it almost guarantees you'll have a max reload speed for your weapons in most activities, which is always useful. And lastly, Spark of Recharge, where you increase melee and grenade energy recharge rates while critically wounded. There are times where you will be low on health despite your constant healing from melee kills, so increasing these recharge rates on times where you need to dip out of combat or something is pretty nice. Now for the weapons, your options are completely up to you, however these are the weapons I've found work best for me with this build. Blood Feud, this season's SMG, is a stasis SMG with some great potential. I have this Grave Robber Frenzy Roll which reloads magazine on melee hits, so this one is pretty perfect for the build, and the Right Hook perk grants handling buffs to the weapon after landing melee hits. Found Verdict is an arc shotgun which can roll with 1-2 punch and helps make this build even more deadly, but any 1-2 punch shotgun will do. And lastly, Thunderlord, which has intrinsic overload for champions. With the recent catalyst makes this gun absolutely nuts, reloading a portion of your magazine every time lightning strikes. And I think Thunderlord is one of the best options for this season. It's extremely versatile. And lastly, we're using the hands-on mods on our helmet in order to increase our super energy gain when we get melee kills. We're going to be doubling up on the mods, and since we are meleeing so much, we actually get our super pretty damn quick. and more Gathering Storms is never a bad thing. Tons of ad slay, tons of DPS potential, and even in PvP, this is a pretty damn good build. Now let's move on to the Solar 3.0 Hunter. This is a Blade Barrage build focused around getting as many Blade Barrages as possible. The jump and grenade are totally up to you, but I like using triple jump and solar grenade. But for the dodge, we're going to be going with Gambler's Dodge paired with the knife trick, because one of our aspects, Knock 'em Down, will work well with them. Knock 'em Down says, while radiant, final blows with your throwing knives fully refund your melee energy. So this is similar to our arc build, but you don't need to dodge to get the knives back so long as you get a kill with them. However, there are times where you don't kill the enemy with your knives, so having that Gambler's Dodge is a nice backup. Knock 'em Down will also increase the number of Blade Barrage projectiles thrown when we cast our super. Our next aspect is On Your Mark. Precision final blows grant you and nearby allies increased weapon handling and reload speed for a short duration, stacking 3 times. Dodging immediately grants maximum stacks, and this aspect is good. But in all honesty, I would prefer using the dynamite. However, this aspect does grant us 2 extra fragments, so that's what we're going to go ahead and do for this build. For our fragments, we have first Ember of Searing, plus 10 recovery, and defeating scorched targets grants melee energy. Since our throwing knives have Scorch on hit, this can guarantee us knives to come back pretty quickly, even if we don't have a dodge yet, or our knives didn't kill the target. Ember of Beams, plus 10 intellect, and your solar super projectiles have a stronger target acquisition. Plus 10 intellect obviously helps us get more supers, and the increased target acquisition helps us assure our Blade Barrage will hit the target a bit better. Ember of Wonder, plus 10 resilience, and rapidly defeating multiple targets with solar ignitions generates an orb of power. More resilience and more orb generation can never hurt. Ember of Torches, powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. Radiant, of course, increases your weapon damage, which we'll likely be able to keep up pretty often, thanks to how we have our melee kit set up. And lastly, Ember of Singeing. Your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets. Again, this just helps us guarantee the highest potential for our powered melee upkeep time. And the reason that's so important is because we are again going to be using the hands-on helmet mods, which will give us higher super energy for melee kills. And considering we're going to be throwing these knives quite a lot with this build, hands-on is a must. Obviously, the Shards of Galanor will be the exotic we pair with this build, which grants us super energy up to half, based on how many hits we get with our super, and getting half our super back after casting it is just too good not to use, if you want to be throwing tons of Blade Barrages. And for our weapons, we've got Bad Juju, which kind of works like Thresh, where weapon kills increase super energy gains, and Bad Juju does it the best. Really nothing can compare to it. But honestly, any weapon with Thresh will probably be just fine if you'd rather not use the Bad Juju. Without Remorse Shotgun is what we have next. It's a solar shotgun that can roll with 1-2 punch, and this one isn't totally required, but 1-2 punch does work with our throwing knives, which is really cool, so if you have something like this that's a solar shotgun, I highly recommend it. And lastly, we have the Cry Mutiny Grenade Launcher, which has Incandescent on it, and Vorpal Weapon. This option is pretty fun, but not required, and honestly, using the Galahorn with Blade Barrage just makes you a total destruction machine, so that might be the better option for total annihilation in PvE content. You just won't be able to use the Bad Juju. With this build, we're able to get our Blade Barrage back roughly every 30 to 40 seconds depending on how efficient you are. It's a pretty fun build, and it's very powerful. Blade Barrage is another very high damage super, so throwing them every 30 seconds is a pretty big deal. And now it's time for the Void 3.0 Hunter. I'm a pretty simple guy when it comes to the Void Hunter subclass, so we're going to go with a pretty tried and true build. Mobius Quiver paired with Orpheus Rig. It's a pretty common build, but still one of the better ones. So Mobius Quiver allows you to fire 2 volleys of 3 Void arrows, and with the Orpheus Rig we'll be able to fire 3. Shadow Shot will make targets volatile and deal increased damage to tethered targets, and defeating tethered targets creates orbs of power. Now this build has always been more of a support build, and that's kind of what the focus is for the rest of the build. Supporting your teammates, granting orbs, providing invisibility, that sort of thing. And for the jump and grenade, it's up to you, but I like triple jump and vortex grenade. And for the dodge, it's also kind of up to you, really, but I think Gambler's Dodge is still best in order to have your smoke bomb up as much as possible. For the aspects, we're going to be using Vanishing Step, which will grant us 2 fragment slots and make us invisible when we dodge. This is a pretty key feature of the build, being able to sneak out of danger or go revive teammates if need be while invisible. And then we're going to be using Trapper's Ambush, which makes our smoke bomb grant invisibility to you and your allies, or you can activate Quick Fall to spend your melee charge and dive into the ground, creating a large smoke cloud on impact. And this will weaken all targets in the radius and make you and your allies invisible. This is a great aspect in pretty much any situation. Weakening enemies and making your team invisible while also being somewhat of an evasive move, it's really good. For the fragments, we've got Echo of Expulsion, which causes enemies to explode on void ability kills and will provide us with plus 10 intellect. Echo of Reprisal, which grants bonus super energy when killing enemies while surrounded. And Echo of Undermining, which makes your grenade weaken targets, although you do lose out on 20 discipline, which hurts a bit. However, it makes your grenade act a bit like another tether if you don't have a super up. For the weapons, I don't think there's any better option than using Graviton Lance if you want to focus on making void explosions. The amount of ad clear potential for this thing is pretty wild, although you do need enemies to be somewhat grouped up. In most activities, it still works well though. For the heavy weapon, I'm using a Subsistence Thresh Corrective Measure. It helps get you some more supers and another great ad clear from a distance sort of weapon. And for the kinetic option, it's totally up to you what you want to use. I've got a Riptide with Vorpal weapon on it, but anything here is fine. Again, this build is all about supporting your team and kind of keeping back a bit, picking off ads from a distance with the Graviton Lance or the Corrective Measure, and providing invis and debuffs to enemies for your team. It's not my personal favorite subclass of the three options here. That one will go to the Arc build as I prefer playing a bit more aggressively. But this Void Hunter build is good at what it's meant for. But that's it for my favorite Hunter builds for all the 3.0 subclasses. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like the video if you found it useful, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.